Monkey.
I believe it is time for Devin Haney to move up to 140 pounds and vacate his 135-pound undisputed titles. Now, a lot of people will be scratching their heads saying, well, why would Haney move up? You know, he could fight Loma, he could fight Tank, there's Ryan Garcia, his division is so stacked. Yes, that is true, his division is stacked, but in my opinion, Devin Haney was weight drained, and he was drained badly. He was very dry at the weigh-in against George Kambosos. Now, I looked at some comments, and many people unanimously agreed that Haney was weight drained, and it could be dangerous cutting down to this weight over and over again. I believe that if Devin Haney, if he is to stay at 135 pounds, it's for one more fight against Lomachenko. If he does want to stay at 135 pounds, he shouldn't stay much longer. After a Loma fight, then he must move up because, he didn't look that great, on the scales. He looks so sucked up at 135 pounds. He is younger, so he could get away with it. And we know Haney trains hard. Haney, he's not someone who balloons in weights, outside of training camp. I think it was about 2 or 3 days after he beat George Kambosos in the first fight. He was out running. So this is someone who works extremely hard. He doesn't just work hard in his training camps, but he stays in relatively good shape outside of training camp. So coming into training camp, it's not so much of a big weight cut, but even then, staying in shape, outside of training camp. When you walk around at 150 pounds, 155 pounds, maybe even 160, and you're cutting down to 135 pounds, even if you're training outside of training camp and doing, your runs and so on and so forth, it's still going to be a hard weight cut nevertheless, even for someone who is hard working as Devin Haney. And Teofimo Lopez is actually at 140 pounds, so let's say for argument's sake, Devin Haney, he stays at 135 pounds for one more fight against Loma. He makes it clear that after this Loma fight, I'm moving up in weight because I just can't make the weight. He could go up to 140 and fight a Teofimo Lopez. That would be an interesting fight, especially if he were to beat Loma convincingly, because not so long ago, people were saying that Teo was the number one lightweight, and they were putting him above the likes of Haney and Tank. But that seemed to have changed when Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos. So it would be very interesting to see. And I actually think that Teofimo Lopez picked not George Kambosos, Lomachenko to beat Devin Haney. Maybe he's trying to manifest his, I guess you could say, once into existence, because it would make him look good if Loma were to outbox Devin Haney, because Teofimo was able to outbox Lomachenko. So maybe that's just more what he wants than what he believes. But I would favor Devin Haney in both fights, the Loma fight and the Teofimo Lopez fight. And I would actually believe that the Teofimo fight is a bit more dangerous for Haney because of Teo's punching power. Because, yeah, Lomachenko was very skilled, but Haney is extremely skilled as well. Devin Haney's got a good footwork, good jab. He's got uppercuts and hooks that he can use. He's got a good lead left hook. He understands distance and timing, and he changes levels. Yes, Lomachenko finds amazing angles, but when someone is a massive lightweight, it gets to a point where the size has so much of an impact where, regardless of how skilled you are, the sheer size of your opponent negates your skill level, if you understand what I'm talking about there, guys. So I would favor Haney against both Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. If he is to stay at 135 pounds, he should only have one more fight against Loma and move up, though he could just move up to 140 pounds. Now, if he does stay at 135 pounds, I believe one of the reasons he would stay at that weight class is because of maybe pressure, maybe some of the critics, because someone like Apoli Malignaggi is very critical of Devin Haney excessively. I don't know if he sees himself in Devin Haney, Paulie Malignaggi seems to have a bizarre obsession with Devin Haney. He's constantly saying that Haney will duck Loma. Haney's never ducked anyone. Devin Haney wanted to fight Lomachenko since what, 2019? How old was he? About 20 years old. And Lomachenko opted to fight Teofimo Lopez and a few other guys in between that period. So, because I believe the Teo fight was actually, was it in 2020 or 2021? I can't remember. I think it was actually in 2021. So, Loma was not interested in fighting Devin Haney for many years. Maybe he thought to himself back in 2019, Haney's a prospect. I can't take a loss to a prospect, and so on and so forth. And that Haney doesn't bring much to the table. He doesn't have much financial mileage because he is young and he's a prospect, which is fair enough. But the fact that Paulie Malignaggi actually believes Devin Haney was ducking Lomachenko or is trying to duck Lomachenko and that he'll move up to 140 pounds because he doesn't want the Loma fight, I find it absolutely absurd because he's been calling out Lomachenko since he was 20 years old. Devin Haney, as you say, he's a throwback fighter and he wants all the smoke. When Teo had the belts, he wanted Teo. You know, when Loma, prior to Loma's loss to Teofimo Lopez, he wanted to fight Loma. When Kambosos had the belts, he was pressing George Kambosos and saying, let's make it happen. I've got one strap and you've got the rest. And that's exactly what he did. And he also defended his belts and he flew all the way out to Australia, a big trip from America to Australia, you know, where everyone was against him and he still won both of the fights convincingly, and he was more impressive in his second fight against George Kambosos. So yeah, guys, those were just my quick thoughts on this whole Devin Haney fiasco, because I see a lot of people saying that Haney looks very dry. You know, he can't keep making the weight at 135 pounds. I agree. I think he should move up to 140 now. However, if he believes he can make the weight, I would say have one more fight. Fight Lomachenko, prove your critics wrong, and then move up. You know, it would be interesting to see. That means the Shakur fight would still be a while away because Shakur Stevenson, I think, will move up to 135 pounds, but as he essentially moves up, Haney will also move up. But for me, a Shakur Stevenson fight is many, many years down the line. I don't think it's, you know, going to come or happen anytime soon. So, yeah. Do you guys think that Devin Haney should stay at 135 pounds? You know, is he fine? You know, is his nutritionist helping him out? Do you think they're doing a good job? He's cutting weight, he's staying in shape. You know, I understand some of the arguments, but when you see him on the scales and he looks super duper dry and he looks the way he does, I just feel like giving him the 5 pounds insurance he would have at 140 pounds, you know, will just make him feel a lot better. And I actually have this theory that Haney will be a bigger puncher at 140 than he will at 135 pounds. Now, a lot of people will be scratching their heads and saying, well, how is that possible for him to have more pop at a higher weight class? Now, on the surface of it, it doesn't make sense. But if you think about it like this, I believe Haney struggled to make 135 pounds for a while, and it's gotten worse in the most recent times. If he's at 140 pounds, he won't have to cut as much weight. And if he's not cutting as much weight, it means he has a lot more energy. It means, you know, he doesn't need to hydrate as much, you know, the day before the fight, you know, after the weigh-in, which means he'll feel a lot stronger. The weight cut won't be as vicious. And I essentially believe that will, you know, add to his punching power because of the extra energy that he has, you know, saved up from not having to cut those extra 5 pounds. So I believe Haney could be even better at 140 pounds than he was at 135 pounds. He's still got the good height and reach for the weight class. He's actually got really good height and reach for a 140 pounder. He was essentially OP as a 135 pounder. So it'll be interesting to see. So I would like to see Haney fight Loma if he could, but if he can't, he should just move up, and hopefully he could fight someone like a Teofimo Lopez soon. If Haney is able to beat both Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, you could arguably put him as number one in the pound-for-pound ranking. Think about it. He's beaten Kambosos, he's beaten good guys like Linares and Jojo Diaz, and if he beats guys like Aloma and a Teofimo, I mean, that would significantly add to his resume. I mean, there are other good guys like Usyk, like Canelo, who also have fantastic resumes. But if he is to fight Lomachenko and beat Lomachenko, then I believe he's got the best resume within the lightweight division. It would definitely be a better resume than Tank, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez. Well, Teofimo Lopez is a 140-pounder. Loma, Kambosos. So if he is to beat Lomachenko, yeah, he definitely will have the best resume in the lightweight division. Alright, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Alright, peace.